There we go.
Okay. Well, welcome to the, I believe this is July 1st, 2025 session of TAPR and HamSCI technical session. My name is Dave, KB0S, and this week I've been I did listen to the SDR Academy, uh, at least when I wasn't sleeping early on in the process by our time. And and I've been working with a project with John Ackerman on uh, looking at some old GPS hardware. So that's been kind of interesting. And we had uh, a Tapper board meeting this week. So anyway, next on the list, we have Nathaniel, W2NAF. Go ahead.
Thanks, Dave. Last week I was at the CEDAR workshop, CEDAR Gem workshop in Iowa. I think it went well. Diego was there, Jamal was there, Rachel Bodeker was there, and then those were kind of the students that were part of the project. Um, I also saw many of our colleagues. So Phil Erickson was there, Juha Virinen was there, quite a few of those people. I think it went well. Everyone is very, very on edge regarding federal funding situations and the like. So, of course, that was not good. But otherwise, I think we um, had some very, very good results. Our postdocs, Kuldeep Pandey and Kukai, were there, and they gave excellent posters and presentations. Gareth Perry was there for a day as well. Steve Kepler, and we started a conversation with Rob Robinette and Phil Karn and Juha about implementing Juha's chirp sounder system on the RX 888s as well. So that was all good. And I feel like there is, oh yes. And then, the other projects are moving along. We had our Monday Antarctica slash personal space weather station meeting today jointly with NJIT, and we're making some progress. We're still working on kind of redoing the project management structure of what we're doing, because what I have found is that the Daisy 2 project is really quite large and there's a lot of moving parts. So Bob Spalletta, who's another professor at the University of Scranton, he's starting to help me with project management and building it into Microsoft project. We've also started procuring, systems, which we've said. So we now have about 9 B links in stock and about 12 RX 888s, and we got our order of 10 Whisper Sons and filter combiners from Paul Elliott, and so I think they're moving along. Back to net.
Very good. Next on the list is Dave, KD0EAG. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I've been plugging along, trying to get you know, the open source RX 888 replacement or the project one, whatever you want to call it. Trying to get that all in order. Plus, doing a little bit with magnetometers and messing around with container architectures and stuff like that on Linux. But just staying busy as best I can, trying to stay out of trouble, and uh, that's it for me, I guess.
Okay. Next on the list is Bill Engelkey. Go ahead, Bill.
Thanks, Dave. Good evening to all. Been busy with working with people on Great One legacy conversions to upload to Personal Space Weather Station Network instead of the WWV server. So that is going along. We're having a lot of people responding on that and making the conversion. And working a little bit on the design of channel control ecosystem for science users. So that's what I've been working on. Back to Ned.
Okay. Next on the list is Dave H. W6OQ. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone from Los Angeles. Nothing radio this week, but probably going to get started serious. My contractor's back in town and get started serious on my 2 bathrooms, so that's a good thing.
But that is a good thing. Next on the list is Dave Julian, WB9YIG. Go ahead.
Oh, good evening, folks. I have managed to survive field day. We got the satellite station up and got 22 contacts and about 40 messages out. So other than that, just trying to put all the toys away. Back to the net.
Very good. And let's see. Next on the list is Franco, K4VZ. Go ahead, Franco.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I saw last week, no, the week before, I did some FTA to try my antenna here from Delaware, and I saw you, Dave, got me on PSK reporter. So I said, okay, at least I got far from Missouri, and I saw a few more stations. So, and I think actually, Michael is next to you, right? I saw another station with an X 888 getting me from
Yes.
Missouri.
Yes.
And then over the weekend, I listened to the what's it called, the Software Refinery Academy. I think there was a good presentation by Pavel Demin. And I've also been working on something that is the following. So Pavel Demin, in his HPSDR receiver, uses the standard, the standard
Red Pitaya.
Xilinx blocks,
Oh,
But Daniel Estravez basically rebuilt those blocks using much less resources. So my hope is to be able to rewrite some of this code to eventually support Protocol 2 of HPSDR on the same kind of hardware that Pavel is using, the Repetile or TRX Duo. So I'm doing some progress learning Amaranth because that's what Daniel Estevez used, but it's an interesting work of research and and things. Back to you, Dave.
very good. Sounds interesting. Next on the list is Jay Schwartz, WB8 SBI. Go ahead, Jay.
Okay. Howdy, everybody.
Hello.
Not much HamSCI going on here. Just operated 40 phone on field day. And where I was here in north of Detroit, at least in my site, 40 phone was high noise. It was very noisy band conditions. You could hear them out there, and they heard me when I gave a call on the first try, but it really took some effort on my part to bring them out of the noise to be able to achieve the QSO. So the other bands we were operating didn't seem to have that problem. So was it a local something 47 megahertz noise generator going on, or was it just 7 megahertz anywhere? Don't know. Anyway, otherwise, just trying the past few weeks here, the past couple weeks to survive the miserable heat and humidity we've had going on up here. Other than that, nothing new ham radio wise. So 7-3 to all. Take care. Stay cool. Stay safe. Back to net control.
Okay. Next on the list, we have Michael Howen, AC0G. Go ahead, Michael.
Good evening, everybody. Haven't been doing too much radio wise. I've been working a little bit on trying to come up with a container. I know I've been talking with Dave Witten about it, and we've been kicking around ideas that would help provide an environment to simplify the development of an installation of the Radio Daemon and Whisper Daemon software for DAISY and more generally, and then also provide some security. Proxmox is a possibility. There may be some others as well. The hurdle I ran into was getting it installed on a B-Link. I downloaded an image and had trouble. But other than that, I was just out on past couple of days, been out on a river in southern Missouri, canoeing and fishing and enjoying some fellowship, and had a birthday. So back to net.
Very good. Happy birthday. Next on the list, we have Scott Newell. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, between work and family, not much to report this week, so no exciting progress. Back to net.
Very good. And then next on the list, we have Rob Robinette. Go ahead, Rob.
Hi, Dave and group. Let's see. I just been doing software grunt work trying to get this new version of Whisper Daemon that would primary feature of interest is that it would support MSK 144. That required moving that protocol is only supported. I think I said this before in the WSJTX 2.7. So there's all side effects of changing a core piece of software like that, and I'm still working it out. We are also been working on finally getting the Whisper Daemon server back into full operation. So that's and a new architecture with better redundancy and resilience. So I'm hoping to be done with that, but it's probably a couple more weeks of fiddling around and moving hardware. So I did this thing for to look into at Nathaniel's request into using our platform to decode these Ionoson reports. And I was surprised that the Ionoson software input is a 10-minute long 20 megasample per second IQ file centered on 12.5 megahertz. So it gives you 2.5 to 22.5 megahertz IQ recording. And surprising to me was it really only requires about half of a core to generate that stream. So which is like 5% of the total CPU power. So it's not a very burdensome thing to do. I don't know anything about his Chirp software. And I was thinking I might see if Andrew Rodland, what is it, KC4G, who does the MUF site, who I don't think joins any of our calls, but Andrew has created a clone of the PSK reporter. So on the Whisper Daemon 1 server. So he's interested in in logging information, and he is getting his MUF data from these now private, I guess, Ionoson databases. And it seems like we might be able to create our own, and maybe even more useful one, because we'd have a 50 or 100 receive sites listening to all the Ionosons, not just them listening to themselves. So, the goalposts recede here on the Whisper Daemon Great project. And I hope to find somebody else to actually work on it. But the hardware and the radio, of course, is completely capable of providing the data. And I don't know how CPU intensive his program is. But but in terms of recording and creating the files, we're certainly able to do it. So anyway, I'm sure there's more to talk about, but back to net for.
Okay, well, we do have one more, and that's Paul Elliott. WB6CXC. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everybody. Sorry, I was actually outside doing something physical, so I lost track of time. So, uh, yeah, nothing much to report. I don't know, okay, Nathaniel, I hope that you saw the Whisperson shipments. They arrived a couple days ago, I believe.
Yes, in fact, I unpacked them today.
Oh,
We had a team meeting today. I picked them up physically from the mailroom upstairs, brought them down, opened the boxes up, showed them to people, explained what they were. They're now in my office, and we're working on the getting the project management structure and everything to get them deployed and stuff. But they have arrived safely in Scranton, and we know we have them, and we're working on the process to get them deployed.
wonderful, wonderful. So no damage in shipment. I did my best.
Oh, yeah, it was very well packed.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, glad to hear they made it.
Yes.
That was a big shipment. I've shipped off the GNSS Whistler Catcher interface box, mailed it out today, so it should be arriving in some number of days. Like to hear how that works out. I'm trying to get it running, another one running here. And I do not want to have to become a Linux expert. I'm sorry. It's just getting something as simple as a stupid serial port up and running. Just too many layers of confusion, but I will get it done. I want to see how all that works out. I've got the Behringer UMD 204 yeah, 204 HD audio interface, and I can anyway, got the pieces. Well, I don't have an antenna yet, but I got the pieces for doing the GPS sync work on that. My little oh, the the binary PSK, the BPSK box or board that I'd been playing with. That's actually back in the US now, shipping from China. I'm sure it's in Los Angeles. I'm sure it's gonna go to Las Vegas and then Seattle and then here. So I'll have something to play with and maybe send out one for, we can try doing the connected to a radio sync signal, see how that works out. Other than that, I've just been building up these multi-mode, the 30/60 megahertz without shelf filters. I got like 18, or I don't know, maybe it's 12. Anyway, I got more than 10 of them all ready to go if anybody wants them. And I don't know if we're going to be needing those for the the HamSCI 888 installations or
What?
not, but if so, these
Yeah.
are the non-amplified ones.
And what frequencies are they again?
Well, this is a filter that it's got the normal 1 megahertz to 10 megahertz kind of shelf high pass shelf filter. Broadcast band, atmospheric noise, to kind of compensate for that stuff, AM broadcast band. So it's the dynamic range improvement there. And then it's got it's a jumper selectable, either a 60 megahertz low pass filter, so if you're running the 888 at full clock rate, it
Right.
will it'll
So
do anti-alias for that, but also with jumpers you can have it work with the 30 megahertz low pass.
these are the F3060 ones on
Yeah,
your website, right? Yes.
That's what they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was looking at those the other day, and I was talking to Rob about them. I think we do want them for the project. And
So question is, how many do you think you're going to need? Because I'll probably need to order more than maybe.
Okay. On the spreadsheet I was looking at today, because I've started working spreadsheets up on this. Give me 1 second to get this spreadsheet up. Okay, it's loading.
Okay, I mean, you have to pay attention to the, this filter is lossier than some, so it depends what you're feeding it with. So we need to be clear on that. I don't want to give you a bunch of filters that aren't going to
Okay,
perform well for you.
so maybe we should talk about it more. But right now I have a list of 41 stations I would need filters for.
Oh, well, I can do
So,
that. Schedule
okay.
would be good to know because
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm doing this summer. I might be going to Finland. I might not be. I mean, it just, but I'll
Okay.
work, but I'll,
How many do you have in stock right now?
it's 10 or 12 or 16. It's something like that. I don't know.
Okay. Because we're not going to deploy all like 41 of them right away, but I think that's the ultimate goal. And right now the plan is to pair them with the DX Engineering RSEA V1 preamplifier.
Okay, so that's got adequate gain so that you could tolerate a few dB of loss in the filter then,
I believe
presumably.
so. Yes.
Okay. But I mean, look, I've got the loss numbers in the specs. So, if you and whoever's looking at the receive stuff, wants to look at that. Are you planning on running full rate 60, up for 6 meters, or are you going to run half rate on the 888 clock speed, or
I think
both?
I think we were planning on I think we're hoping to run at full rate.
Okay.
But then that does add some questions to the appropriateness of the antenna I selected, because the RSDAV is only, I think, going up to 30 megahertz nominally. So
Yeah, I mean, you have to see how it may behave usefully at 51 megahertz or whatever, the 52 megahertz.
yeah,
Even if it isn't spec for that. So you just
right,
have to look and see what it actually does, I guess.
right.
But anyway, that's
I
what I
think
got.
I think they include a 30 megahertz low pass filter in the antenna in that preamp.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, but the reason to run at 129 is not entirely just to get to 6 meters. It's that you see a whole lot about the quality of the receive site by looking at what does the spectrum between 30 and 50 megahertz look like?
Mm-hmm.
Because it should, if you look at a lot of sites, you'll see all kinds of RFI and intermod products show up from overloaded devices and in the receive chain ahead of the 888. So
Even with the low pass filter in the antenna preamp.
well, again, I haven't looked at the RSV. There's nothing when, I guess your receivers have been offline, Nathaniel. None of your three systems are logged on to your VPN.
Yeah, I've been having trouble with that, and I was away at the conference last week, and I have not had
Yeah.
time to address it. So
Okay.
that's something I'm hoping to fix when Elmer's visiting next week. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping that I can get it revisited again next week.
Yeah. Well, if the computer can ping google.com,
Mhm.
the remote access service should run. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was struggling with it last week.
okay.
But
Well, that's I know Elmer is I guess he isn't joining us, but I'll give a
actually,
Yes,
I
yes,
see
yes.
Yes.
he's here.
oh good.
So-
Well
I
then
made
good.
it. I made it. I ran like crazy. No cops caught me.
Why don't you tell him about your power supply? I think that's one of the most interesting projects I've seen in a long time.
Oh, the flux capacity. No, he knows about it. The flux capacity.
Well, Nathaniel may know. I don't know. And Jonathan may know.
All
I
right,
don't know
I'll
if the
show
rest
it
of
real quick. I just got to pull it down here from the top of the shack. So I worked on a number of galvanic isolation. I need a screwdriver again. Solutions, and I built this little case.
Wow.
It's
this is DC power, right?
but I
This is
can't.
DC.
I gotta
this-
pop it open. Okay. So now the eggshell's open. For anybody who knows how a cell phone gets charged with a wireless connection, I found on Amazon. I just started experimenting, so it was a test. I originally took, and I'm going to find this. I originally took a battery charger. So there's a PS2 battery. I've been using these for other handheld devices for my robots and everything else. And I put on it a charger, but it's a charger boost device. So you put 5 volts in and you get over 20 volts out if you want it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for 12. And this power supply allows me to unplug the source, the dangling wires, from the device and just run isolated battery. But if I plug it in, then I'm seeing the wall plus this. Ron knows a little bit about this. I have these little, and he has a box of Apple chargers
USB chargers.
with the 5 volts out. And
Yeah.
plugging this into that, I was floored by the fact that I couldn't spot anything, harmonics or whatever. So I talked to Rob about it, and he goes, yeah, somebody else talked about using them for Raspberry Pis and stuff. So I tried a couple different devices. This one won the case. So I said, listen, I'm going to go forward, even though I don't think Jonathan's in here. Maybe he is.
No.
He was having problems, he thought, with the wireless charger. So I looked at the frequencies of the wireless charger, and it was all over the place. I looked for something that wasn't the cheapest, which is dangerous, not the most expensive, because that's just pillage the village before you burn it. And I put this, what I call flux capacitor in the middle. So it's 2 transmit receive coils inside the box, and I'm going to hold it the right way. So what happens is power comes in up here to the buck, and the buck takes 12 to 20 in and makes the voltage I desire, about 9.1 volts. That drives, I have to look. Up here you can't see it, but the transmitter that goes to this coil. The coil's 1 millimeter apart. You can't get them too close, and you can't get them too far apart, or things strange happen. So I optimized that distance, which was, dumb luck. And then the output of that drives this battery charger with a small battery. The battery is long enough for a few minutes of operation, or maybe less, of the VLF system. So I can unplug this system from the wall and run just off this battery.
Okay.
So the idea is I've been plugging it in, unplugging it, plugging it back in, unplugging it. I have yet to try to figure out what frequency that's at without destroying it. And I can't tell when it's plugged in or not plugged in at my station. Because my station's kind of noisy, but I've had severe harmonic issues if I just take regular DC from a nice clean power supply to my system. This is the first time that I've had power with a galvanic isolation. Now, it's not any better than this driving that charger, but I'm assuming the galvanic isolation that I provided here might afford more. So I have to bring along to Scranton this one and this one that I already have in a case to verify if it works. So this, along with 47 nanofarads times 2, you can use the same circuit that's already installed at your shack. We're not replacing anything.
Okay.
But if we have to lift it off, you can take the capacitors back off. But this at my station has proved to be the coup d'etat.
Cool.
So flux capacitor in operation.
That looks awesome.
So anyway, and it produces so little heat. So my I'm watching video backwards. That's enough ventilation if you can see through it.
Yeah.
So I printed 100 by 100, snaps together. You throw it up in the shack and you're done.
I think this is, but I think this is a power supply system that has characteristics that I have wondered, I've dreamed of for years. I mean, there is the ability to have a wall powered system that doesn't introduce RFI through the ground, whether it's, DC ground or, interwinding capacitance and transformers. I mean, every other method of wall powering ends up introducing RFI or potentially introducing RFI from the wall, the neutrals and other the wiring in your house or office or whatever. So this you described as a flux capacitor, but anyway,
Well, it's like Florida.
I always wondered. I was wondering for years, could we get around this problem of power? Powering. Basically, how do you power an LNA without introducing a ground loop, RFI, and common, introducing common mode. And this is the only solution that I always wondered whether you could use the cell phone charging technology to do that. And Elmer, you've done it. So I want my compliments to you.
Well, no, but we're gonna test it. My shack has noise.
Yeah.
But the noise, matter of fact, in the background, which you can't hear right now, there is, again, the filter applied by the VLF RXF tools that takes out the 60 and whatever. I've gotten to a point where I can just hear the spherics and I'm not hearing anything else. Now, when my neighbors wake up and the vacuum cleaners are going, my wash machine's going, the neighbor has a skill saw out made in 1934. I hear all of those whining down the street because I walk the dog. I can hear those. But tonight, all I hear is the lightning strikes. It's stupid quiet, not bang in the shack. So it's like, wow, what a difference. So we'll see it at Scranton where I could set, I'm going to bring the entire 1/3 of my, actually more than 1/3 of my station is going to get packed in the next couple of hours because I'm running out of clock cycles. With the SAS system, I've got, wait, there's more. I'm going to unplug this and it's going to screw up my station, but I'll just unplug it. And I know Paul's built one of these, but I wanted to see how small I can make it. So I bought a Neo 9 GPS. I put an optical isolator in it. I put in a T11, and my station, which was just jumping around like mad, I've gotten it down to plus minus, what was it? Plus minus 1 on the display for the time of clock for the VLF system. So I'm trying to do the cheap sheets, whatever. And I've been watching my scope here. I don't know if you can see, I'll be honest with you. That hasn't moved. This used to jump around. I've set the scope up to show the pulse that comes off that GPS. It's stuck there. I've gone away for a couple of hours now, and it's still there.
What
the entire time I built this VLF system, it's always moved. That one's now stuck.
What's the time resolution on that? That was what
that was. I have it set to 5 microseconds,
okay.
1 second sweep, and it used to dither back and forth with all the other GPSs I have. This Neo 9, I'm like, really? It's still alive? I unplug it, it disappears. I plug it back in, it goes snap.
Wow.
It takes a little while. It's now, because I unplugged it for this demo, it's drifting back in. It was at 100 and 1.1 something. Now I'm at 0.3, 0.03, 0.030, 0.0. It's drifting back in again. Actual time. So I've just never achieved that before.
What are you triggering? That's the scope trace. It's triggered by what?
This is the display from the audio from that unit off the T11, coupled into channel 2 of a, it was the Behringer, or whatever they call it. I bought the 4-channel version. So I have channel 1 is VLF ground, channel 2 is time, channel 3 is SAS, and I'm comparing all 3 together. But time has been the bear of frequency accuracies at looking at stuff. And Amazon delivered just before I took off this afternoon. So I spent 30 minutes building that. That's all I spent. That's all I spent into it. I have to put a power supply in it now instead of my wall wart. But it's I'm just flabbergasted by how different the GPS units were, because I had a Neo 7 or 8, and it was within 0.03 something. This one's within 0.001, 0.002 plus minus. It's just different.
Elmer, two questions and a comment. First, the comment. I'd like to publicly thank you for all the help you're giving me on this GPS stuff.
Well, I'm just passing on what Jonathan gave me.
Well, however, you've been a lifesaver, although I still have questions. Now, the two questions. So this flux capacitor gizmo you've invented.
No,
I
I did
mean,
not invent it.
no, okay, but you put it together. So the I mean, it's basically an isolated power supply. We got battery holdover, but how is it different than one of these guys?
Not much that I could tell here
I mean,
until I get
as
to somewhere quieter.
transformer coupling. I'm just curious.
This was producing something I almost stopped, and I decided that I was going to take it one more step and just try the other one, because listen, if you came to my shack, I did one, maybe 5 of everything at least once, because I know 2 is not enough, so I always do 3.
Yeah.
So I used this Apple device, and this with that charger unit proved to be, at least at my station, just as good as the wireless charger.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell the difference. Now, that doesn't mean anything until you get to some place that's many more dB quieter than my station. I live within a jillion houses. I'm completely surrounded by power poles that are shitty because of salt water and everything else that occurs here. So I'm going to test both this standalone with the charger unit and the battery, versus aka flux capacitor, and see how that differs.
Yeah.
Now, Elmer, I think just for those who don't know, you did use other USB, 5-volt USB.
Yes, I've tried almost everything on the shack.
And they're terrible, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they introduce lots of noise. So the Apple charger is unique, appears to be unique in the quality of its, not so much the ripple, right? I don't know. You look at the ripple.
I never looked at ripple. I was looking at harmonics.
We don't really care about ripple. What we care about is the common mode communication of common mode noise that goes through a power supply.
And again, that'll be largely transformer design, in an isolated switcher. So okay, that's good to know. I said 2 questions. I have 3. Well, I forgot the second question. So my third question is, what the heck are you 3D printing behind your in back of you there? I see that thing.
Oh, well, I wanted to know, long story. So I put a magnetometer in the ground with Gwen's help. I had designed something myself, and then due to the fact that Gwen had done some development work with Pi and everything else, going through my inventory of stuff, I found I had an old Raspberry Pi 4. So I dug that out. I took a RM3100. Wait a second. Yeah, 3100, I think it is. And a Dallas temperature sensor, and I buried it. And that was just a giggle, just to see what would happen. Well, I was flabbergasted by the fact where I sit and the place I located this, that I am tracking for, I'm going off target here, but I'm tracking the, is it Virginia? someplace that's close to here. If you overlay there, like Glenn does, if you overlay the local plot in Virginia to my house,
Wallops Island.
they're identical. I mean, absolutely identical, except for a couple of wiggles. And that might be when the locals have their yards, blowing off, which is not often. Anyway, so I buried a temperature sensor, and I went, well, while I'm at it, I got into the weather mode. So I bought a AM 2315C, I think it is. And I printed a weather station, all the fancy little things on it, and put that out there. So I went, oh, that's interesting. So now I got pressure, temperature, and humidity and in ground, and I know what's going on. And I did that remote by wire. I'm using a wireless, I don't have one laying here, wireless connection, which is good for 1,000 meters or something stupid. So then I was talking to Glenn, to your point, and I decided that I may want to move my ham shack to the roof because I'm in a rack. I finally put everything in a rack. So I'm testing on the other side of the house, 50 feet away maybe or more, a roof, I call it, system. And I'm using a different sensor that does barometric pressure and everything else. And that box back there is going to house, I'll bring it over. It's going to disconnect this. So this little dude, it's got a Wi-Fi frequency transmitter receiver on it with a nano. And then I put a display on, which is now disconnected. This connects to multiple stations. I can do up to 6 or 7 different stations if I wanted to, the way it's designed, and just it'll automatically wake up. So what I want to do is monitor the roof storage unit and see what the weather is like up there. If I can manage the temperature and humidity and everything else up there, my entire ham shack's going to go within 25 feet of SAS, VLF, and everything else. I won't have any cable to speak of. So that's my goal, is to completely eliminate cable as an issue. I will be within 20 feet. So I'm weather monitoring for the purpose of, will my rack of equipment, nooks, power supplies, everything else that I've got, which is a 15 rack unit plus stuff sitting on top of it, go upstairs and survive? I don't know because I'm not up there. So I'm going to monitor it remotely. So that case that you see in the background is to house all of this plus other sensors that I'm putting up so I can remote monitor power supplies and everything else. Because I'm using these, what they call RF24 units. And it's got an LNA and amplifier on it. And it's good for bigger than my house property. So apparently this will work for great distances. So I have remote monitoring. The the magnetometer is Wi-Fi with Raspberry Pi coming into the shack. So I'm trying to do everything wireless so there's no more connections in my shack. Maybe the future is fiber optic. I'm waiting to get this to work first.
Yeah. Well, okay, one final comment. I always have to remind myself that the problem with good ideas is that sooner or later they turn into a lot of hard work.
No shit. Excuse me.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
back to the net, whoever wants it, I guess.
Well, we're open discussion. Clint and also has arrived just to make that point.
We got Clint.
I have nothing this week.
Well, Elmer had plenty to take up your time.
Clint, I've mailed off a repair package to you this afternoon. So
Okay, I'll take a look.
Three 888s. One from Michael, one from Nathaniel, and one from Mike Zabel, KV4TT, who just gave up on the 888 because it broke. So
I'll see what I can do.
thank you.
Yeah, Clint, please, if you see anything that suggests, the 888 clock adapter, we've been using, has, that caused a problem, or if that didn't stop a problem,
Well,
definitely we want to hear about it.
there's no way I can know the whole backstory of each unit unless I'm told. So, Rob, I guess hopefully you know that for each
Yes,
one.
I put on onto them. I put the a little description of what I know about them.
Okay, yeah.
And I can tell you, when you get, or if you get to the one that it originated here, I can tell you what I was observing. It was weird, different from what I've seen in other failures. So
Is that the one you were showing that the signals are there, but the frequencies are way off?
no, completely different. The frequency, I don't know what the deal was with the frequencies. I'd see a normal spectrum, and suddenly there'd be these huge spikes, like there was some ginormous signal coming in. It was not the typical
Oh,
across the spectrum noise that we were seeing due to packet loss, and it was not the frequency shifting due to some timing problem.
oh,
It was different, and then it would return to normal.
that
And
was.
then
I'll bet that's the regulator. But anyway, we'll see if we can replicate it.
Yeah, it didn't behave that way for me, but I just plugged it in and powered it up and verified it was.
Yeah, there's one that Rob sent me that would work for a while, then it'd start getting noisy and it'd just totally dominate the spectrum. Then signals would just flat out go away. And that was a flaky 3.3 volt regulator on the 80 converter. So anyway.
but I gotta say, Elmer, you're my hero, man. Yeah, the way you wander around your shack and do things and sell things is an inspiration to me. So
I'm
keep it
very
up.
impressed. I agree.
And I just wish I knew you a little bit earlier so I could have sampled some of your bourbon. So
Well, the bourbon's still here. I locked it up because I have a few dollars involved.
Elmer, where are you located? What's your QTH?
As I say to people, I'm 15 minutes north of the North Shore. I look south to Long Island. So if you go out to Northport, Long Island, and then drive north to the water and then keep going, there's a road called Ashroken. Ashroken is 2 lanes out to where I live. And high tide easterly winds cause the water to break across the power lines, the waves, and the boulders, which are 2-3 feet in size, end up in the street, and they have to come in with a plow and open it up again. So I am out in the Long Island Sound, looking south at Long Island.
This is out near Montauk Point. Is that?
No, Montauk is another, let's call it hour east of me.
Okay.
So I go out to Montauk to. I used to go out there to a place called Camp Hero. So Camp Hero was where the Air Force had built a one-off long-range radar to look for Soviets coming in. And I've dove on submarines out east of here, which you see movies about. I've been on those submarines diving. So it's an interesting place. The bunkers and everything else that are out here are kind of interesting on the South Shore. All concrete, underground, yada, yada, yada. It's historically crazy. And then Tesla had some of his coils out here as well. Again, North Shore, not quite halfway out. I used to live a little further east. Now I live in what they call Northport. And again, when I drive north, it's 15 minutes from my house down to the main road. before I could go somewhere.
I grew up in Nassau County, so I thought I might, but I didn't get out to the eastern part of the island very often.
Yeah, we're most people don't know about us up here unless you're a local. And then those of us that live up on the North Shore, everybody knows about Ashroken because of the cops. You do 31 miles an hour and you get a ticket. And that's what we're known for, is you can't get up here speeding. So you put it in cruise control and just sit back and just go for a ride. But we're surrounded by water, completely surrounded by water, except for 2 lanes of sand road that leads into this area.
It reminds me of Center Island a little bit. Kind of like that.
What's interesting about this location is if I'm listening to AM radio, 1010s, 880, whatever, and you listen on your radio in your car, your handheld, whatever you got, it is just storming in here. I mean, it's just, you can hear it in your fillings when you're sitting here. You drive 1 mile down the road, it's almost gone because you're off the water.
Hmm.
It is just horrendous how different it is from here, just a few minutes from here. So when I do VLF work here, meaning VLF, 2,200 meters and 430, whatever. When I was doing that, I was surprised that I was making it halfway across the United States with a small piece of wire because my property's at 80 feet. So I couldn't put up an antenna. I had a 43-foot vertical I was using, and then I went kind of horizontal with a capacitance hat. And I was able to make it halfway across the U.S. with a single FET transmitter on 2,200 meters. Because Rob got me into doing this FST4W thing, which wasn't going to take off. But then I started to do that, and I made it all the way up to HF, and then it just went crazy. Remember that, Rob? Back in the day when it wasn't going to work above VLF?
I know I think I still have the equipment.
Yeah, that original junk that I built.
Yeah, you bet. I've got it. If somebody wants to put up a 2,200 meter beacon,
that design's so ancient.
Well, anyway, it's a beautiful Pelican case, and I wasn't going to throw it away, so it's waiting for it to be repurposed. One thing that's gone on air is Glenn has put up his remote site on the mountaintop, a 888 with a medium Z SAS. This is the site that is up on top of the mountain that looks down on WWV. Yeah. And it's challenging you, Clint, on the top spotters list. Single medium Z SAS. And there's noise mitigation he still needs to do up there. He's daytime, he's got solar panel noise ingress. So
well, that's easy enough to take care of, just as long as you don't attempt to do it with just ferrites.
Well, I think he knows how to deal with it. It's just he's it's a mountaintop site, so repair work and such projects are not a day long journey, and then you forget something, and you have to come back again. So it's but I think he's what he's trying to do. He's been asking Wayne for enhancements to the K9Q webpage that would allow you to turn on an overlay that would show the ITU curves, quiet, rural, and so on, on your 0 to 30 megahertz spectrum. So that would allow you to say, okay, how is it doing right now compared to the ITU curves in real time?
That's cool.
Well, that would presume the K9Q radio has some easy way to put in your own gain parameters to
Well,
begin.
that's what Wayne, this is web stuff. This
Okay.
isn't, I mean, the K9Q, of course, the antenna factor is the one unknown here, but if it's an SAS, he has a reasonable idea of what the antenna factor is. So, but nevertheless, it's very instructive to be able to look at, the compare you can get an incredible insight using the minimum setting. If you turn on a minimum hold and look at the minimum setting, you get a very good idea of what your actual noise is, even in the presence of a lot of signals. And that alone gives you real insights into the quality receive performance of the performance and overall site performance. But he's got a 10 dB bump up at 30 megahertz, which he has yet to suppress.
So I take it that whatever this curve is, you can put in a CSV file to include the curves of the shelving filter.
Yes, yeah, you can put in as Wayne has. I mean, this dialogue is happening in a Signal chat group, and so I'm just lurking at it. But Wayne has enhanced the web application to allow you to read in a CSV file. It has the proper format and frequency span. And of course, you have to be set to the values that is currently being displayed. So it's fairly crude, or awkward, but it's. I think that Wayne is starting to appreciate why this would be a valuable feature to add to the K9Q web. So. Given that the 888's pretty well characterized, and we don't have any AGC in the paths to the wave file recordings, I mean we are able to look at absolute signal levels and absolute receive characteristics, systems receive characteristics in ways that I don't think many users are able to do. And it's one of the important reasons why the remote access is critical to having useful deployments of the DAISY systems. If we can't look, yeah. What? I'm sorry. Somebody taken off? Oh, Paul, I guess. So if we can't look at these systems, we don't really know what we're getting. So how much we can expect out of a site. So I think these deployments I think are going to be. I don't think there's going to be very successful at self deployments myself. I think it's going to require at least remote monitoring and communication with the installer. I haven't yet, by the way, Nathaniel. I don't know if I've lost my Christine. Is that her who's supposed to be?
Christine Zagorski?
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope I removed. I had a forwarder on my email that would forward HamSCI emails into a folder, and I rarely check that folder. I turned that off. That forwarder off, and hopefully if she will email me, it won't get lost. So
okay, good. And you're in touch with her now then, right?
I haven't yet. But I haven't yet heard from her. I sent her an email during this afternoon's call, but I haven't got.
Do you want her phone number too?
Yeah, why don't you, if you were to email it to me, maybe I should just Or she can,
I'll email
yeah,
you.
my number is there, so she can call me. But I tend not to answer phone call. Well, if you give it to me, then I'll put it in my contacts, and then I would answer.
Yeah.
As I think most of us, I get so many spam phone calls that I don't answer them unless the caller ID is for in my contact list. So
Right.
Hey,
I will send that to you.
speaking of returns, so after I visit Nathaniel, I'm going to return that through Nathaniel the probe that you gave me, which was going to go out to Western Pennsylvania, but now is not happening. To you.
Oh, this is the KLRL4LU or whatever they is this August.
K3LR.
Yeah, I wonder whether Elmer would be. Did you talk with Elmer? Are you
Yeah,
aware of
but
this
I'm
K3L?
not going there for that event. It's
Okay.
not necessary apparently. So
Okay. Well, the I mean, I hope I think. I mean, I hope that by that point, people we have can establish remote access quickly
Mm-hmm.
because we will know nothing after about how it's running after you guys leave unless we get that running.
I think as I said, um this week is going to be very busy for me trying to keep all the other projects going. And then I'm going on vacation on Thursday. I come back Sunday. Next week, I'm planning on dedicating my entire week to working with Elmer and working on the personal space weather station system. So I'm hoping during next week to revisit trying to get this remote access working.
Okay. Well, one of the um, options, I think, I mean, the best option for remote access, I mean, connectivity, is to use, the host's existing internet connection.
Right.
But I know one of our group is signed up for the T-Mobile's cell phone internet connectivity, which is, $30 a month or something.
Mm-hmm.
And
$10.
$10.
The one I have.
Well, okay. I don't. I thought she said 30, but anyway, she gets unlimited bandwidth. She says, and usage. Um, anyway, that I'm wondering if that might be uh, an option for some sites if there's an issue about using the network. I mean, I'm hoping Michael will wave a magic wand with Proxmox or something and come up with a security solution for us.
I
But
like
if
that.
not,
Yeah. I mean, if that solution sounds really good if that works.
yes.
Based on talking to Michael recently, I've spent a little bit of my time lately experimenting with, I have Proxmox running and I like it a lot, but it is a commercial product and it has a yearly fee if you really want to stay, kosher with the updates and stuff. And so I've been experimenting with well, Incus, it's called, but it's a fork of LXD that as usual, Canonical's got designs on. It's the Linux container manager that's built into Debian and so forth. And you have LXC for full Linux containers. I think it'll handle Docker, it'll do VMs, it'll do a whole bunch of things, but I'm trying to learn all the ins and outs of it. It's very like Proxmox, except at this stage a bit more command line-ish, though I do think there are some utilities that, and it's fully open source and fully, it's really kind of baked, most of it's baked into the Linux distributions, the Debian distribution and everything that derives from it. Also things like Alpine, and you can run almost anything under it. But so it's an yet another interesting exploration. But so far so good. And by the way, I started with the Orange Pi 5 to see if I could install it on that, and mostly down to my, you know, the learning curve about the vocabulary. I didn't quite finish it, but I brought it up on a Ryzen box as well, because I needed one, and so it'll work on top of almost any ARM or Intel AMD type hardware, 64-bit hardware. Just by way of just saying.
I really appreciate you guys working on this project, because it's a, I do have, using Brett Anderson is installed, used Proxmox to run as a part of the upgrade of our Whisper Daemon server system. And I did get a report from Andrew, and I've had it from Gwen about poor performance on the virtual machine. Now, this is the same hardware, right? It's a Dell R620 with Xeons, 2 Xeons, 40 total virtual cores, 128 gigabytes of RAM. So it's a, fairly powerful box. And Andrew was saying he thought it was somewhat sluggish. Now, I don't know, that's because we've only assigned 20 of the 40 cores and only 100 or 90 some gigabytes of RAM. Perhaps the database is at some kind of knee, where reducing the RAM or number of CPUs. I can't see CPUs. The thing's sitting there idle, so I don't think it's CPU usage. It just might be RAM space.
There's a lot to know about all the different options. And the one I suspect you'd be most interested in, personally, would be to use the native Linux container rather than the VM functionality, or rather than Docker. Docker is a bit too limited. Kubernetes, yet more. But the VMs on almost all of these things, Proxmox certainly, run QEMU, and it's a software, it's an emulation. But I run Windows on, it's my only Windows box is an instance on a something that runs that way. But the containers really use the underlying Linux that's already there. So they're more or less the native, and they can be tuned very much to the native Debian or whatever it is you put under it. They just share the kernel pieces, and so it's a cleaner, leaner sort of interface. There are some other options too, but I can't even keep them all in my head. So just so you know, it'll run on a Raspberry Pi. It'll run on an enterprise server. I'm pretty impressed.
Well, yeah, now I'm sorry. The one that impresses you is LXC, or did you say?
LXC containers are the most native container technology for Linux.
Yeah.
It's baked into the kernel, and most of these things, like Proxmox, is kind of a wrapper around all that to make it easier to manage and more, more enterprisey and so forth, and to address particular tasks. Um, that's what this Incus is also. Uh, in the Ubuntu world, they were doing something called LXD, or they still are. Canonical is, but people decided that they were taking it proprietary, including the guy who had written it, and so they forked it. And it's so these LXC containers are the most native, fully functional Linux environment. Say if you want to run Debian or Mint, have your full environment. Um, you've got it, but without very much additional cost at all.
Mm.
And
I mean, this is, I'm depending upon you and Michael and Brett as my sources of information about.
well, I'm hoping that, and what I believe you can do with this is create a container as you would a Docker
Mhm.
container or something. And then, kind of um, push that out to all your sites. Um, it would run under, you would probably activate this other stuff as well, which is but it's not, I don't understand it all, so I don't want to swear on my Bible.
You should, you're stimulating me. I Roland HB9 VQQ has a Whisper Daemon system, a B-Link, a Whisper Daemon system running um, with two 888s attached, two or three 888s attached to a single V-Link. And he was running them in, I thought, Proxmox containers.
Well, the
So,
native, the most default in Proxmox also is the LXC type container.
yeah,
It's using those also, but it also has VMs to run non-Linux environments
yeah,
like
yeah,
Windows or
yeah, yeah,
BSD,
yeah.
and those take, you pay a price for using those. Um, but but this is the same LXC containers, and that
Yeah,
functionality is baked into Linux.
yeah,
A lot of the more important things are these days stuff like WireGuard and you know,
yeah. Well, I'd have to,
but
um,
I pay like $100 a year or something to just because, well, partly because I appreciate Proxmox, um, you know, but I that way I don't run I stay linked up to the good, update sources, and I don't run into any difficulties. But I believe this doesn't even that's not even an issue with this. So it's
well, I'm going to send a note to Roland and just ask him exactly what configuration is he,
ask him
how is,
about Incus, INCUS, and LXC.
okay,
LXC is probably what he's using underneath Proxmox.
okay,
And for all I
okay,
know, what works under Proxmox can be just moved directly to similar hardware on,
yeah. The goal, I mean, it will be good to have these VMs as a single deployable image for the
mhm.
uh,
Yeah.
which we want to have for the DAISY system, but for Whisper Daemon users, as you know, that is where the software is continuously developing.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not sure that the VMs are gain us anything because they'd have to go and update themselves anyway. So it's
Yeah. I'm just trying to learn the vocabulary, really.
well, that's good. Well, I'm glad you are working with Michael, and um, we can come up. But I guess the point of all of this is, I'm not sure if we really understand how to how to tune the performance. It may not be an issue for Whisper Demon, Whisper Demon grape applications. It may not be, there may not be a performance issue there, but there may be one for our server installation. So, okay, well,
I'm gonna sign off. Good night, guys.
okay, take care. Are you around this week?
Yes.
You're not on call in the.
No, and
Uh,
yeah, I'll be available. Got to mow the
yeah,
lawn.
I'm gonna. I may fob off some customer support stuff on you because.
Okay.
I'm gonna sign off as well. I'll see everyone
Okay.
next week. Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.